Nice. Thank you, guys. Good morning on a brand new week now. It is crunch time in the nation's capital. That partial government shutdown now enters its second week. As an even bigger crisis looms on the horizon, October 17, 10 days from now, that's when the Treasury Secretary says the country will run out of money and miss our credit card payments unless we borrow more money.
That sounds
as
good.
all sides dig in, this could be another tight wire walk in Washington, D.C. Hope you had a great weekend because it's going to be a heck of a week
So
here. I'm Bill
that.
Hemmer. Good morning.
Happy
How
Monday.
are you?
Good morning, Bill.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So, Bill just laid it out. Time is clearly running out on this thing. House Speaker John Boehner is standing firm on the Sunday shows, at least, saying that the U.S. is on a direct path, he believes, to default unless President Obama is willing to negotiate.
We are not going to pass a clean debt limit increase.
Under no
I told the
circumstances?
president, there's no way we're going to pass when the votes are not in the House to pass a clean debt limit. And the president is risking default by not having a conversation with us.
Okay, we have a conversation now with Peter Ducey live on the Hill. Where do things stand on this Monday morning? Peter.
Bill, nothing has really changed since last week. The House came in this weekend for a rare Saturday session. They voted overwhelmingly 407-0 on a measure in favor of giving back pay basically to these furloughed federal workers right now. But the Senate still hasn't touched that measure, so that hasn't gone anywhere yet. And now the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, is coming out saying basically that nothing is going to happen here until Democrats are ready to give some ground on things like entitlement spending.
I do not want the United States to default on its debt. But I am not going to raise the debt limit without a serious conversation about dealing with the problems that are driving the debt up.
So on your own,
It'd be irresponsible of me to do this.
And you heard the speaker during the intro saying basically that President Obama is the one who's risking default by not having a conversation with Republicans. But the speaker says that President Obama knows his phone number, and all he has to do, Bill, is give a call.
So is the administration showing any signs of compromise, Peter? What do you hear on that?
They're standing their ground so far right now, Bill, as well, at least publicly. We heard this weekend the Treasury Secretary Jack Lew come out and say he thinks Congress are the ones playing with fire by not just raising the debt limit already. And the Treasury Secretary also says he believes President Obama recently has already done plenty when it comes to reaching out to Republicans and bargaining, so even when it was politically risky for the president. Listen to this.
The president has taken many steps over the last several years to show his willingness to negotiate. He's done it with Democrats saying he's too eager to negotiate. Now, Republicans have not come forward and made comparable movement.
And tension is only going to increase here on the Hill in the next few days, Bill, because you see the calendar. That day that the United States will default on its obligations unless the debt ceiling is raised is now just 10 days away. It's next Thursday, Bill.
You got it. Peter, thank you. Peter Ducey leading our coverage there. Right now, no talk scheduled between John Boehner and the president. Something to watch from Washington.
He stayed home this weekend, stayed in Washington this weekend because he thought the president might call, and that call never came. So now there are new questions this morning that have a lot of people talking about whether the government is picking and choosing which parts of the government should be shut down to provoke the most pain, essentially. We got word on Friday that President Obama is allowing union representatives and some Pentagon civilians to go back to work and to get their paychecks. But missing children, apparently, will not be protected under this shutdown. The Amber Alert system is down. The Justice Department shutting that off due to lack of funds to keep it running, they say. But there are concerns that this could obviously put missing children in even more danger. We're going to have more on that, the picking and choosing, who's in, who's out, when we get to that in just a moment. And there are also some new questions on the comments from Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, who you just saw, saying that a default on our debt would be, quote, catastrophic. Lew says that the U.S. will reach the borrowing limit on October the 17th, which we know. The nation will then apparently run out of money and effectively default on their loans, he says. But Stuart Varney says, essentially, that is not true. He's the host of Varney and Company, of course, and he joins me now. Stuart, good morning.
Morning, Martha.
How so?
Let's straighten this out. We do not default on our debt and our obligations at midnight on October the 17th if we don't get a debt deal. We do not default. You default when you fail to service your debt. That is, pay back the loan and the interest due. In the month of October, we're going to take in $200 billion in that month. That will easily service our debt. We do not go into default. $183 billion came into the Treasury last October, $200 billion this October. We're going to be paying our debts, paying off the interest and those loans on our debt. We will service that debt. We will not be in default at October 17th midnight, period.
So what's the meaning, Stuart, then, of this number that they want to raise it to, and why do you need to do it to keep going?
Because we have run out of the authority to borrow more money. That's what the debate is about. Under what terms do we borrow more money? If we don't get an agreement, then we can't borrow any more money, but we've got all this $200 billion coming in to pay our debts with. That's enough. We do not go into default. Now, all this talk about default, this bandying around of this word, has led to some great unease on Wall Street. We're going to see the Dow drop maybe 100 points this morning when the opening bell rings. But we're not going into default on October 17th midnight, period.
When would we, do you think? I mean, eventually they're saying if you don't raise the debt limit that there would come a point where you wouldn't be able to make one of those payments. When would that happen, do you think?
Don't know. I don't know. But you're right. Eventually you do go into default, but that's way down the road. That $200 billion just for October pays your debt service. It also pays Social Security. That is an obligation that can be met in the month of October.
It's like if you have assets and you haven't paid your credit card bill and you start to use those assets to pay it off, at what point do you actually go into, real bankruptcy?
Eventually you do,
on an
but
individual
not
level.
October 17th.
Yeah. All right,
No.
Stuart, thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Yes, sir.